With the markets. Greek citizens, on the other hand, cashing out as much as they can. Businesses as well. Collectively, they have pulled out nearly $3 billion just this week. Now, on Monday, there is a last chance summit with the ECB. Fox Business contributor Bob Rice is with me now. So, Bob, before we talk about the implications, we want to give you a Friday challenge. Are you up to it?
Great.
All right.
Absolutely.
We are going to put 30 seconds, actually 60. Why not? 60 seconds on the clock.
Perfect.
Explain the word default to us in just 1 minute. Here we go.
All right, here we go. So default traditionally means not being able to make your debt payments as they fall due. And that's exactly what Greece is facing right now, because they owe about $1.3 billion to the IMF in a few days. And as things sit, they just don't have the cash to make that payment. So what are they going to do? They're going to default unless things change. Now, people at home are probably familiar with what happens with them if they default because, you know, somebody comes and gets their car, forecloses on their house, so they have to go to bankruptcy court. The interesting thing is, what do you do when a country defaults? You can't put them into bankruptcy. You can't foreclose on them. And if you go sue them in Greek courts, well, kind of good luck to you. So the real implications for Greece, as opposed to a living human being, is they're probably going to be boxed out of the capital markets for several years if they do it. But if they play nice during that time, like Argentina has proved, like Mexico has proved, eventually they'll be able to get out of the penalty box, come back, and borrow again.
Look at all that with 10 seconds to spare. That is impressive, Bob Rice. I am going to give you a one-moment round of applause. So that's an excellent definition of default and why it's better to be a country than a person.
Yes,
you have
it
a
is.
lot more leeway here.
Yeah.
But what are the chances, first and foremost, of a Greek default in this? I mean, Monday is this huge summit, and everybody's saying, are they going to be able to find an agreement with the ECB and the IMF or not?
Look, I don't know, and it's kind of the problem is that now we're all of our fates are in the hands of central bankers and politicians, and if that doesn't scare you, I don't know what would. You know, the logical thing, and, you know, it's even hard to say what's the best answer at this point.
Right.
Because
No, I've seen arguments on both sides. Some people say, you know what, let Greece get out. Who cares? What's the worst case that happens? Drachma comes back, drops 50% during the euro, and it's cheaper to go on vacation in Greece.
Absolutely. Your olive oil prices will improve. So but in a serious way, it really is true that the Greek GDP is nearly all local. So they don't have the same exposure to the international capital markets. It's not nearly as big a thing for them. And the traditional way, you have to remember this is an important point. The traditional way that over-levered countries got out of too much debt was they devalued their currency. Greece's big problem right now is it doesn't have a currency.
It's not in control of its currency because it is the euro, and there's lots of other parties in that mix, Germany being the strongest. And most people say, listen, the euro serves Germany because Germany serves the euro.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
All right. So what are the chances then? I heard you say you don't know, but it feels like it's coming closer. In other words, you know, we're at the end of the month.
Yeah.
So
Right. I think that I've always thought the odds were pretty good of a default simply because, again, you're talking about egos and politicians and complexities and lots of parties who have to agree on stuff, and nobody really wants to agree. I think the chances of a default actually are pretty good. I think that the direct consequences of that will be contained. The market's ready for it. There's not a lot of Greek debt out in public hands. Most of it is held by sovereigns and the IMF and the ECB.
So the average person with a 401k here more than likely will not be affected other than, let's say, a 2 or 3 stock market sell-off a couple days.
Yeah, it's not going to be dramatic, but what it can mean is a kind of general psychological change. Look, rates are too low. Generally speaking, they don't price in any bad news at all right now. And here comes some bad news. And the stock market's pretty much the same way. So very directly, I don't see a huge consequence, but kind of as a psychological game changer, it could act like that.
Bob Rice, always great to see you. Nice job. 50 seconds on the clock. Default explained here.